that helps me. That helps me move along with school, with sports, and everything going on. Not only has it gone fast, but we're going to talk about a champion tonight.
Yes, what we always look forward to.
So we have been very blessed over these many, many years in Rutherford County, of course, to have schools get way, way into the playoffs, deep in the playoffs, and we've been super, super blessed. Probably the last 15 years, probably, Rod, starting with Smyrna.
Right. So from that point on, we've had somebody in the semifinals, at least, and we've had quite a few in the championship game.
Of course,
Oakland's been there 7 out of the last 10, and then you put in Smyrna, those two, and then we have Middle Tennessee Christian School.
Yep.
And, they keep a streak going. We've had 5 state champions here in Rutherford County because last year the only winner was Middle Tennessee Christian School.
So, we've had a lot of good luck, a lot of good teams. We're going to talk about all the teams tonight. We'll start with, of course, the champion, the Oakland Patriots. We'll run through a whole lot of things tonight. Each and every week, and we're so thankful to Ida's Tees. They're our sponsor, and they're the place in Rutherford County for school spirit wear, screen printing, embroidery, specialty items, and more. Plus, you can buy all of your officially licensed MTSU Blue Raider merchandise from Raider Tees as the men and women's basketball teams really get going and start conference play at the beginning of the year. For Blue Raider tees, polos, hats, and more, visit their showroom at 910 Ridgely Road. Just turn off Broad Street between Chewy's and Chili's. Ida's Tees can put your logo on just about anything. Stop in and see how they can help you promote your favorite team, workplace, or organization. Find out more online at idastees.com.
Since 1966, Fans Heating and Air has been a symbol of quality for Murfreesboro and Rutherford County. For friendly, complete service on Amana, Bryant, or American Standard Heating and Air products, Fans Heating and Air will do it all. Fans specializes in new homes, custom homes, or existing buildings. Give Fans Heating and Air a call today, 615-893-7930. Good luck to all of our schools and student athletes from Fans Heating and Air.
Hello, this is Coy Young at Las Casas Feed Supply. We'd like to welcome you to our door and hope you find the customer service and expertise that exceeds your expectations.
Las Casas Feed Supply caters to all homeowners with a quarter acre to several acres, focusing on premium feeds and dog foods you won't find in box stores.
Nutrition is our specialty here at Las Casas Feed.
And yes, you can even get milk from the MTSU dairy at Las Casas Feed Supply, the best milk in town. Las Casas Feed on Barlow Lane, just off Highway 96 East in Las Casas.
Craig's Tax Service at 142 Heritage Park Drive offers complete tax preparation, financial, and bookkeeping services.
This is Brett Craig with Craig's Tax Service. From personal tax preparation to business bookkeeping, payroll, and taxes, at Craig's Tax Service, our staff is here to help.
Get help with your taxes. Call 890-2233 for an appointment.
As a former Siegel Star football player, I know the importance of the high school sports experience. Good luck to all county student athletes.
Craig's Tax Service, 890-2233.
At Dr. Automotive in Smyrna, we're committed to providing local car owners with top-notch auto repair services. Let's hear what some customers have to say about Dr. Automotive.
I just really appreciate Danny and his whole team. I always feel like I'm going to get great service and the right outcome.
You just don't find any better people.
He's always been very good.
We've got the cure for your car. Dr. Automotive, keeping your car running smoothly, mile after mile. Visit our website, smyrnaautorepair.com.
This is a paid legal ad.
You've probably heard it a million times. If you're injured, call a lawyer. And you probably haven't because you don't know how much it will cost, how long it will take, or even if you have a case. At the law offices of John Day, we provide a free initial consultation because we understand that folks don't want to pay a lawyer only to find out they don't have a case. If you think we can help, we do so on a contingency basis, which means we only get paid if you do. Seriously injured? Call me, John Day.
Are you tired of feeling like just another number with your insurance provider? At Rayburn Insurance Agency in Smyrna, Agent Rick Hall prides himself on offering personalized service that puts you first. Every client's needs are unique. From personal home and auto coverage to tailored business insurance, Rick Hall's got you covered. Rick Hall at Rayburn Insurance Agency in Smyrna, where you're more than just a policy number. You're a neighbor.
Primetime Sports presented by Ideas Tees on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and streaming at wgnssports.com.
All right, we're back. We're talking about state champion Oakland Patriots. Oakland's 4th in 5 years and 5th under Coach Kevin Creasy has taken his team to 7, as Rod mentioned, Blue Cross Bowls in his 10 years at the helm. All week long, we talked last week, it was not payback, but Rod, it was payback.
Yes, you could tell it. There was a lot of intensity between both teams. That's why we had a lot of personal fouls, all called during the game, a lot of penalties. Made for a very boring ending of the game because it's constantly stopped and moving them back and all, but kind of watered down the quality of play that we had going early in the game. At halftime,
it was anybody's game. It was 14-14.
Right. But what's been going on this year, that means it was Oakland's game. Because how many times have they been tied or behind at halftime, and then they seem to proceed in the last 2 games in the playoffs with Maryville and then here with Houston, they shut both teams out in the second half.
Well, and even the Riverdale game, go back a game further, they were had a chance to be behind there, but Oakland outscored Houston 28-6 in the second half, getting 200.
Take that back. Then they didn't have the shutout. That was late in the game, so I missed that one.
Right, but I mean it was at the end when it didn't really matter. Of course, Oakland rode their 4 main players as they've done all year long. Of course, his son Kyler Creasy, 5 of 9. 111 yards in the win, and you said 2 big, huge pass plays.
Yes. In fact, in that first series, we came back, they came down the field, they moved the ball, they kept getting first downs. No big plays, but short, quick passes. Got a good quarterback. He's a competitor. He's shown it. They beat Ravenwood. I don't think he's as sharp as he was last year, but he came back from injury. No telling how far along he is in his injury, but that will be a nice loss for us to Houston for next year because he won't be coming back. But yeah, it was back and forth. Oakland was slowly moving down, and then they hit the big pass. Got I think within the 10-yard line, and then they were able to push it in. I think Morris scored a 1-yard touchdown, 2-yard touchdown after that.
Well, the other thing you mentioned, of course, you said their line was not nearly as big as it was the year before.
Yes, last year their line was the biggest high school line I'd ever seen. You're talking about 315-pound nose tackle, and they'd have 302, 90 all across offense and defense.
Well, that makes your quarterback look a whole lot better, too.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much, if you dominate line of scrimmage, you're going to win the game, and that's what happened. And especially you add in a sloppy field. It was rain all night. And it means Oakland really survived on running, and then they injured the quarterback. Creasy got hurt early, and then that part of the game was out totally, and so there wasn't much of a chance. But really, when you think about it, 24-9 was closer than they should have been.
Well, we mentioned again, we talked about earlier about a little bit of payback. I love hearing the kids talking about the silver ball sitting in their weight room all year long for 370 plus days. They look at it every day, walk by it every day. That's not the standard that Coach Creasy and his staff expects out of his players.
Well, when you think about it, you wonder why he's so successful. He has subtle ways to send a really good message. And I mean, it's very subtle, but it definitely sends a message that that's not acceptable here.
Tennessee signee Dwayne Morris, T.T. Hill, and Tennessee Titans Mr. Football finalist Craig Tutt all combined together for 6 touchdowns. Craig Tutt was the game MVP. He's a returning player for Oakland.
Yes, and he's also an outstanding defensive player. He had 4 tackles, but he had 2 big pass knockdowns covering for passes. Bandy did a great job on some long passes. He was able to go up, had good positioning. And Bandy has 7 interceptions, leads the team. And he also is leading in receptions for touchdowns. So a couple people really stepped up.
Well, so, of course, the cupboard is not bare for the Oakland Patriots next year. Of course, they'll figure out who they're going to play at quarterback. Coach Creasy, whether it was his son or quarterbacks in the past, he's not asked them to do anything outside their comfort zone.
That's what's good about him, in that they play to their abilities. You know, their offense runs to their abilities. Yeah, it's a base wing tee, but he has so many variations based on it. One of the things he did from early part of the game, you know, they're running and they start out with a one tailback and then the quarterback, you know, running. But then when they started moving in the second half, they came out with 2 wing backs, no back in behind the quarterback. And they did a lot of inside counters. Okay, you had finally Morris. We had talked about it earlier. First time he come through the hole, it was covered, and he had to bounce it out. And got nice yardage, about 9 yards, 8 yards on it. Next time he had to bounce out again. Then the next time he cut before he got to the center. He came in on the one gap on the one or two gap on the left side, you know, so he hit it a little earlier, and that was wide open. And they were bringing up about 9, really looking to stop the run, which, if you think about it, their success is run. So that's one way maybe you can slow him down. And once he got behind him, he was gone. And that was also key, besides the passes, the 2 long passes by Creasy.
Well, and we knew that going in. When you're going to play Oakland, you're going to pick your poison. You know, you've got to stop Morris and Tutt and Hill. You know, you're going to make Kyler beat you. Mm-hmm. I mean, Coach, you know that's what they're going to do to you. That's what I would do to you. And, of course, like I said, he managed the game well, threw those 2 deep balls, and then Oakland finally, you know, like I said, they're just going to keep – if you remember the movie Remember the Titans, where he talks about it's like Novocaine, just give it time, it works. I mean, they're going to keep running, and they're going to run, and all it takes is a little bitty hole. And I tell you who can tell you this, that's Coach Kreisky over at Riverdale. Both their games this year, couple, 2 plays. And if you're listening, Coach, I'm sorry, I'm bringing up a sore point. Couple plays makes the difference in a ball game.
Right, and especially if you have guys that are really quick and shifty, which Oakland has 3 of them. You know, they have others that aren't that bad either. And so just that one mistake can cost it when the game is really tight.
Well, again, congratulations to Oakland, Coach Creasy, his entire staff. I know Coach Creasy, he's probably enjoyed it for a couple of days, but he's going to find something else because, you know, it's kind of like teaching a class, Rod. You get a new group of kids, you set a standard, you want to meet that excellence, and then you want that group of kids to try to do the same thing because, you know, his son Kyler got hurt last year, and they lost. And, you know, they've been together for a long time. I mean, what a great way. He said 10 years. I was a ball boy back when my dad was over at Trousdale, and then we came to Oakland. We've been together. I mean, that's something that nobody will ever take away from that father-son.
No. And the sidelines mean me, Dad and I are out here busy, trying to get a good production.
Yep. So that'll probably be hard. That's probably one of the hardest things on Coach Creasy is just, you know, seeing your son not going to be there next year. But I'm sure, like I said, you've got Tutt coming back, and everybody in the country has already pretty much offered him a spot, you know, in college. So he's going to be a big focus, and they'll get everything going and right back at it. So, I mean, again, good stuff for us. Y'all said the facilities were great, the weather was great, the game was great, and so everything worked out well. We're going to talk about all the other high school teams a little bit later when Danny Brewer joins us. He's jumping back in the pool, doing some pool work down there at Smyrna High School. A couple of coaching changes we can talk about, Rod, that we know about already. Coach Woodward stepped down at Laverne, and they've named Coach Johnson, coach at Laverne. We want to wish him good luck as he starts that program. And then just recently, Brian Guthrie stepped down from Rockville. Brian had been at Rockville coaching for a couple of years, and then took on the head coaching job. And I've known Brian for 25 years. Brian really loved, grew up as a coach's kid, just like Kyler did, around football all his life. And Coach Guthrie really loved getting in there with the kids, loved coaching them. And he just felt like, all the work he's done, it was just time. Every coach has got to a point where, it's just time. The facilities at Rockville are great. The school's growing. They've got good kids, good athletes. He just felt like it was time for him to step down.
Yeah, and then that time comes, you know it. And the big question is how do you feel? Like he was asked, from what I heard, and he said, it felt like a load's been lifted off of me. So that means that for him personally, that's time. And I would say basically, I remember Butch Vaughn and I were having a talking. I worked under him at Blackman, and we were talking about why aren't coaches staying in longer? Well, there's so much more pressure than there used to be. You know it takes a toll on you. It takes a toll on your family, and each experience is different. So that person has to determine when that time is.
Well, and you're right. The landscape has changed. You know, when I was many years ago in high school, kids just went from one sport to the other sport. Nowadays, it's like every sport, every activity, cheerleading, all of them, band. It's becoming year round.
Right.
Kids are specializing. They're not playing as many sports. You know, I've been a couple of basketball games already. You think, well, the football players are coming. Well, a lot of coaches that I've talked to said, we don't have a lot of football players. They're sticking with football.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to a guy out at Eagleville, and I said, well, how many kids you got coming off the football team? He said, 0. I said, really?
Well, think back when we were in high school or junior high, there was no place to go and train with some specialist, you know, on our own. That's all over the place. Even the kickers, they go and they get trained. They go to kicking school, or they, you know, maybe they go once a week during the off season, because they've narrowed down what sport they want to do, where they want to go, where they want to excel. Myself, I think they need to hold off a little bit until they get maybe their senior year, or at, I would say, the earliest the junior year, if they're excelling in a couple sports, you know, because I know I've listened to some baseball coaches and all, or scouts, and they said they look for players that are multiple sports because they can adjust much quicker, and you also get more balance. You know, so, you know, like it helps you excel. And another thing is you can injure yourself if you just dominate on one particular type of activity. Let's say in basketball, that's all yours on the hardwood floor. If you don't get out on maybe outside on the turf or soft turf and go, you're not going to develop all the muscles around like your knee, you know, where you may end up tearing it up then.
Yeah, well, and then the flip side of that is, I think kids see and hear about people getting hurt playing other sports, and they're afraid that it'll affect them in their other seasons.
Right.
Like, you know, I don't know, the Bain girl at Eagleville, great softball player, signed college scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
She's been playing basketball. She got hurt last week,
mm-hmm.
tore up her knee,
right.
and so she'll be out about 12 weeks. So her basketball season's over, and hopefully she'll be back in time for football. And of course, I was sitting up in the stands the other night, Riverdale Smyrna, and all the Riverdale coaches, a couple of football players were playing, and I know they grimace if they see him go down because they don't want to see him get hurt. But you're right. If you don't do multiple things, like I said, you're setting yourself up for sometimes a lot of failure.
Right. So that to me that's important. But then if you at the point you know that, hey, this is my sport, you know, and then the junior year, senior year really go all out. I think you're better off than if you do it too early in your career. You may what I'm afraid of, you may end up in burnout if you're just doing one sport and you've been doing it from junior high age all the way up through. But then you get to the burnout point, which is you want to make this fun for kids. You do. And of course, like football, probably most programs, they're lifting weights this week mm-hmm. already, even Oakland, because I mean they never stop. Right.
And then they'll get into 7-on-7s before you know it. And you know, team like Oakland, you come back from the break, it's January. You know, you 9 weeks, you're looking at spring practice already.
Right.
And so just a lot going on at the high school level and kids. One more coach real quick. We're running out of time in this first segment. Just for a second before we transition is, what'd you think about Old Belichick going to North Carolina?
That's great. You know, I mean, why not go down and see how he adjusts to that and see how they adjust to him? I'm looking forward to it.
72 years young.
Yeah.
Going to start a program. That would be very interesting to see.
You think he's going to be a nicer, kinder coach?
Well, probably not on the sidelines, but one of the things you hear about Coach Belichick is how good of a teacher he is.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And I've always said, if you're a good coach, you're a good teacher, and if you're a good teacher, you can be a good coach. It goes both ways. So that'll be really interesting. He might try to sneak in a few recruits from Tennessee, so that'll be interesting to see as well. We're going to come back. We're going to run down a little more college football.
Rely on the experienced professionals at Prentice Allsup Heating and Air.
If your old unit needs a tune-up, the professionals at Prentice Allsup Heating and Air service all major brands and even offer same-day service in most cases. Keep your home or business comfortable year-round. Call us today at 615-890-1311. Prentice Allsup Heating and Air, your Ring Pro partner heating and cooling contractor on West College Street, just under the Thompson Lane overpass. Online at PrenticeAllsup.com.
Life changes, then it changes again. Hi, I'm Edward Jones Financial Advisor Lee Colvin. A job loss, change in health, or loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure that you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Stop by our office in the Public Shopping Center on South Rutherford Boulevard or give us a call at 615-907-7056 for an appointment. Edward Jones, Making Sense of Investing, member SIPC.
Hurry up and try new Little Caesars Crazy Puffs. They're 4 fun-sized puffs packed with layers of pepperoni, cheese, and sauce, and only $3.99. So what are you waiting for? Try them now.
You heard him. We need to go try these new Little Caesars Crazy Puffs right now.
Stop it! Drive like the wind, Debbie. Enjoy delicious new Crazy Puffs on the go for just $3.99. Only at Little Caesars.
Pizza, pizza. You've seen the ads out there, companies wanting to buy your home. But why sell yourself short when you can get fair market value? I'm Lisa Patton. If you have an estate to settle or a home to sell, call Parks Auction. We'll work with you to sell your home or property in any condition with no costly repairs on your timeline. Why accept one offer when you can have multiple? You need Parks Auction. We look out for your best interest. Call Parks Auction today. We handle everything.
Dr. Russell McKissick of Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance talks about the grassroots effort in our local schools to ensure proper care for players.
To make sure our teams are covered here locally, be there for our trainers. Yeah, it's a passion that we have to try to take care of our athletes here in town and be there just to keep everybody playing as healthy and as best they can.
From a community standpoint, one of the most important things you do at TOA, I'd guess.
I think it's definitely a way to pay back to our community, just to be there for them and watch some great sports too.
Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance, TOA, live your best life.
Primetime Sports presented by Ideas Tees on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and streaming at wgnssports.com.
All right, we're back. We're going to take a little shift while we're waiting on Danny Brewer to give us a call back as we get off of high school football for a little bit. We're going to jump over to the college. Vanderbilt going to a bowl game. They play Georgia Tech Friday, December 27th in the Birmingham Bowl. That's a tough matchup for the Commodores.
Yes, they are. They're no slouch. Georgia Tech, you never know when they can pull it off, and you can just ask Georgia.
Yeah, you sure can. How tough they are, and I think you can ask Miami how tough they are. Congratulations to Coach Lee from the Vanderbilt Commodores, SEC Coach of the Year. Very well deserving. I mean, when you take the group he had and do the things he did with them, I think you got to be impressed.
Well, I mean, something we haven't seen at Vanderbilt in years, so yeah.
Right. So, haven't heard anything about Pavia, about his lawsuit. The transfer portal's open. He's trying to hurry up and get into that portal if he can, and trying to make his NIL money, as you know. So he's not going pro, but haven't heard anything about that. College football playoffs, they'll start here a week from Saturday. The Vols are in, but they're on the road, Rod.
They are.
We were afraid of that. I despise it. Not that they're on the road. I'm just glad to be there. I could be my friends that are Alabama fans, but I'll move past that and take my spot. But I was just not happy to go to Ohio State. I would have loved to have went to Penn State. I'd have been okay going to Notre Dame. I don't want to go to Ohio State, Rod, because they just lost their last home game, and they have been wearing Ohio State and Ryan Day out.
Yes, and they got beat by Michigan.
Yeah, so
that's got to be tough on them.
Tennessee's going to have to come in and set the tone early and play well if they have any hopes of beating Ohio State. Looking at the bracket, a lot of people are upset just because of the way it's set up. And I understand. Penn State's got a pretty easy run compared to an Ohio State in a sense, because they're going to catch SMU at home, and then they'll play a Boise State at a neutral site location. So it's kind of funny, the better teams, didn't necessarily got the easiest route. So Oregon will face, of course, the winner of Ohio State and Tennessee. I mentioned the transfer portal is open. MTSU, right now, that number changes. 22, Rod, was the last number I saw. That's a lot of players for MTSU to look at leaving the program. There's two ways to look at that. You got kids leaving that a lot of them weren't playing. As I looked at the list, a few were. And so that just gives Coach Mason opportunity to also, it goes two ways. Players leave because they're looking for something. Also gives coaches opportunities to find players in the portal.
And I think last year, Coach Mason didn't have very long to do any recruiting at all. He's got plenty of time now. I think it will allow for more success. And really, for him, it's probably opening up doors for him.
Right. So you just got to find the right mix, kids that want to be there, fill some holes. Tennessee has had a bunch of receivers, if you haven't paid attention. Look at 24/7s and look at just Google transfer portal. They've had a lot of receivers jump in the portal, which is kind of surprising, but kids want to play.
That's true. And if you're not the number one starter or if somebody's leaving that's just ahead of you, you're going to try to find somewhere where you can play.
Or if you
get recognized.
Or if you're a sophomore, junior, and you see that freshman, that freshman behind me is pretty good.
Right.
I might be sitting, and so again, there's going to be a lot of changes. The signing period's over. The portal's still open until the end of the month. That'll be interesting to see as bowls conclude and other kids jump in the portal, and all the movement around. Vanderbilt's already gotten a young man out of Alabama out of the portal, and so it's going to be a free for all. And that's maybe that's where Bill Belichick starts.
Yeah. But to me, this should be done after the playoffs. Football's over with. It should start in January. It's too early. I mean, you got kids that are playing in a bowl game or playing in the playoffs, and now they've already committed. Now what are you going to do?
Right. Well, you remember from last week, if you're still playing, they get an extra window, and so whoever the two teams in the national championship game, when that ends in middle of January, they'll have a window to get on the portal as well. The hard part is, of course, we mentioned you're supposed to be with your school at the beginning of the semester, which will be kind of hard to do. So kids are getting stuck and having to figure out what they're going to do there. MTSU basketball, men and women both lost this past week at Belmont. Both teams sit at 7-3. The ladies are heading to play Kansas State here on the 14th, and the men host Cal Baptist on the 16th. The ladies actually will not return home until January 2nd. Tennessee Vols basketball, we're still number one for right now. Got a huge game against Illinois coming up. Coach Barnes and his staff has done a wonderful job again through the transfer portal.
Yeah, Coach Crawford has the women are undefeated still. They won a big match with Iowa.
Yep.
So it had a big highlight, a crowd full of two big games. Where was that at? Was that Connecticut or?
They were playing New York.
New York, okay.
Yep, they were playing New York in a.
So that's a good way to advertise your product because you got a new coach, so it's almost a new product.
New product. Well, here's the next question, Rod. What kind of product are we going to get out of the Titans with the rest of this season?
Lord, I don't know.
Nobody else knows. A guy out of Nashville wrote a article almost demanding Amy Adams Strunk to start answering some questions. She can't answer any questions. I mean, she's got a bad football team. She's just the owner. She's got coaches and GMs supposed to take care of that. They go to Cincinnati this week. A little home reunion for Coach, which won't go very well. And I'm sorry, Cincinnati's coming here. They're not on the road. And then they go the road to Indy and to Jacksonville, who they just lost to. That was maybe one of the worst football games, Rod. I didn't watch it all because it was so bad. 10-6.
Yes, sounds like it. I was lucky I was out of town, so I didn't even have an option to think about it.
So watching Levis, to me, can't see the field. He can't see the field.
Yeah.
Multiple red zone opportunities, wide open receivers. It's like he gets locked in. You know, he may be right now at the point where he's so worried about making a mistake, he can't play.
Right. He just or he's overthinking things.
Right.
And then it's too late.
Yeah.
It's got to come natural, but yet you got to think.
Yeah. I mean, it's you got to balance them both. But you know, you're a professional athlete. You just got to get out there and play. The quarterback position, I know, is probably one of the hardest positions, obviously, to play. But I mean, wide open. I mean, of course, it's easy to sit there and watch, and all the fans like, I could have thrown that pass. Well, you probably could if you could see him with those 6'5", 300-pound guys running at you,
and they're hollering at you.
Absolutely. So, Titans currently sit at 6th in the draft right now. That loss to Jacksonville didn't really hurt us or help us in that. We were sitting there about last week or so. But looking at losses coming up to Cincinnati and probably at Indianapolis. Jacksonville's a toss-up game. And then you got a Houston team you beat on the road. I got to feel if we win 1 out of the 4, I'll be surprised. You know, I'll be surprised.
Jacksonville's the one we'll get.
Going on the road on Jacksonville is an opportunity. But by that time, here's the thing you're going to see, Rod. Do the main starters, and when I say main starters that you want to return, are they going to get nicked up and get placed on the shelf? Levis is hurt. I mean, his shoulder's hurt. He talked about it, you know, having those couple weeks off helped him out. Now he's playing with a hurt shoulder. Are you playing him to see what he can do, or are you going to put him on the shelf? There's nothing to play for. We're eliminated. You're not going to get anything out of playing Will Levis except hurt him more, which I know the doctors probably know better than I do if he can get hurt worse with his shoulder. But, I mean, really, you're not gaining there. Jeffrey Simmons, he tweaked something. Jeff, sit down. We'll get you going next year.
That's what happened last year.
Right.
He finished up the last 6 games he didn't play.
Right. So that'll be interesting to see over the last 4 weeks. You know, you want Jeffrey Simmons to be a leader, but then if I'm sitting there as a coach or a GM, do I want to put him at risk of, you know, hurting himself to the point of he's out 3 to 6 months?
Well, if Jeff's not hurt bad, he's playing.
Yeah.
I mean, because Jeff's going to demand it.
Right. The other team in Nashville that's playing as bad or worse than the Titans, that's the Nashville Predators. They play tonight. They're losers of 8 straight. They officially have the league's worst record right now. Didn't expect them to drop this low, but if you go in there and select league records, you have to drive all the way to the bottom, and you'll see the Nashville Preds. Don't know what they're going to do either.
I know their strategy. I mean, in the game, they'll jump ahead early, and then you just watch it chip away, and then they stop scoring, and the other team keeps coming till they catch them in the end.
Yep. So, talk Major League Baseball for a minute. Soto signed.
Yep.
$765 million.
That sounds like Ohtani type of money.
That's over 15 years if he stays that long. Last week I did the math. I'll do the math again. Bro, that's $315,000 a game.
Wow. And for the next 15 years.
For the next 15 years. $315,000 a game. Winter meetings are ongoing in Dallas right now. Rod's got a couple Cardinals that may not be Cardinals much longer. The Yanks signed Atlanta Braves pitcher.
Yes, Fried.
Mm-hmm. He got the largest pitching contract for a left-hander. Didn't know that till the other day. $218 million over 8 years. He went to the evil empire. I wonder what John Deakins thinks about that.
I don't know. But, you know, something they brought out, you know, he has the lowest earned run average over the last, 3 years of any starter. You know, that should strengthen them, and I'd rather be a left-hander in the Yankee Stadium than a right-hander.
Absolutely. Yeah, not the short port side, that's for sure. Yeah. So, supposedly, you know, now that the big money guys are gone, they'll start seeing other player movements, but it continues to be, right, it's just the Yankees and Dodgers, Mets, all these big city, big money guys.
They've got it. The others don't.
So, just doesn't make it very good for the average fan. That's kind of like the Titans right now, fussing about the Titans. You know, who wants to buy, you know, looking forward to a new stadium, but who wants to buy a PSL and seats for a team that's going nowhere?
Yeah. And, you know, we're supposed to have a system where, you know, you have to pay tax to the rest of the other teams if you overspend your salary cap, or they don't call it cap for them, but, you know, that level you're not supposed to go above. But it's almost like before they had all this stuff. I mean, the Kansas City Royals, actually they were the Kansas City A's, were the top minor league team from the New York Yankees. You could find somebody doing well there. Somehow they ended up being traded to the Yankees.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and it's where teams have so much depth. They kept it all, and we're starting to move kind of that way again with the extreme amounts of money they're putting out for a few players.
Yeah. So the NFL tries to have balance. We're in the bottom of the balance right now with draft picks and the salary cap, as you mentioned, but baseball, they don't seem to care.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with football, look who some of the new top teams are. They're the ones that were at the bottom the last couple of years,
right?
And they've been able to draft top talent, over the last couple of years, and now that talent's getting a little bit old enough that they can perform well, and now they're fighting it out for the top spots.
Yeah, everybody's starting to look at the Detroit Lions and seeing what they're doing and seeing how they've drafted and see what they can do from there. So maybe there's hope for the Titans. Maybe they've got a big plan. It's like, we're going to stay here and we're going to muddle around for a little bit, pick up a couple of picks, maybe get a new quarterback. We shall see. And then, open a new stadium and try to play well. Cause
I think we're drafting better, though. I mean, we had a good draft this last year. It goes down 5 deep, starters.
Yeah.
Brownlee, man, he looks very talented, and he was a 5th-round draft pick.
Well, people may disagree. I wish they would draft nothing but offensive and defensive line next year if they're not going for a quarterback. Put enough money and effort into that line to protect Levis and see what he can do. Because if he can't do it, there's always free agency. You can find another quarterback. Or Rudolph's not a horrible quarterback. The backup's not a horrible guy. So, put your money in there in those lines and let's see what the Titans can do. All right, we're ready to take a break. When we come back, got to run down those high school teams. Got to talk about pigskin picks because pigskin picks are over. It's not a surprise, but I got to announce the winner.
Do you have to?
I have to. Yeah. I have to, since he's my boss. And also, I've got to bring the fact that there's been a verbal question on the commissioner's job. When we come back.
Quick, convenient, efficient. 3 words that we all hope to experience when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to bring just that to an industry that's traditionally dictated to the customer when it's time to do business. Whether you're purchasing class pictures in a yearbook, class jewelry, a letter jacket, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience quick, convenient, and efficient. Find out more at jhacompany.com. JHA, your one source for an unparalleled scholastic experience.
Pizza. You in a hurry for dinner? Well, we've made it even easier to order online at sirpizzatn.com. Tap the location nearest you and begin your carryout or delivery order at sirpizzatn.com. You can choose from our full menu and we'll take care of the rest. A Queen's Feast is calling my name. Order Murfreesboro's favorite pizza online at sirpizzatn.com.
Sir Pizza, you made me love pizza again.
If you need concrete work done, who would I call? Dan Franz Concrete. Here's why. He's local. He attended Walter Hill Elementary, Oakland, and MTSU. He served our community as a school resource officer for 9 years, and he's involved in the community.
This is Dan with Dan Franz Concrete, wishing all Rutherford County student athletes a great season. Study hard, play harder, and be safe.
Dan Franz Concrete is a licensed and insured residential and commercial concrete construction contractor serving Middle Tennessee. Check out danfranzconcrete.com online to see some of their work.
Rely on the experienced professionals at Prentice Allsup Heating and Air.
Whether it's the blazing heat of summer or the bitter cold of winter, let the Rheem Pro professionals at Prentice Allsup Heating and Air Conditioning on West College Street keep your home or business comfortable year-round. We service all major brands and in most cases offer same-day service. Call us today at 615-890-1311. Prentice Allsup Heating and Air, your Rheem Pro partner heating and cooling contractor on West College Street, just under the Thompson Lane overpass.
The Blue Raiders fan source for officially licensed Middle Tennessee gear is Raider Tees.
located at 910 Ridgely Road, behind Chewy's, just off Broad Street.
Time to get out in the cold in style with officially licensed Middle Tennessee stocking caps, coats, jackets, sweats, scarves, and more. If it's blue and white with the Middle Tennessee logo, you can bet the best selection in town is at Raider Tees.
Raider Tees by Ideas Tees, 910 Ridgely Road, off Broad between Chewy's and Chili's.
Primetime Sports presented by Ideas Tees on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and streaming at wgnssports.com.
All right, we're back for our final segment of the final show of this season. Rod Edwards in the house with Clark Blair. Danny Brewer is still firing his starter gun, I guess, down at the pool. He might try to call us this last segment. Want to put a bow on high school football. That's really the reason this show started many years ago when Brian and John, we've really focused on high school football. We've added a lot to it to talk about. We've already mentioned, of course, Oakland Patriots. Let's run down the teams, Rod. Let's start with Blackman. Your thoughts on Blackman this year?
Blackman made a big improvement, I think, from the previous year. I like their discipline. It has improved. They were a team known for losing their cool in games and getting a lot of penalties that they shouldn't have gotten, self-inflicted type. Played very tough, had a very tough schedule, gave Ravenwood all they wanted, lost 14-7, gave Oakland all they wanted, lost 13-12. So they're a team that I could see making the next step next year.
Well, you mentioned the next step. I thought about that, and I forgot when we was talking earlier. The problem is the next step, Rod, next year, all 8 Rutherford County teams are tied together in a region. That's going to mean if there's 8 teams tied together, there's going to be 4 of them sent home.
Yeah, and so each step is going to have 2.
Yeah.
Just about, now you have Stewart's Creek to put in there, which didn't have 4. Smyrna was traditionally a tough team, along with the rest in the Murfreesboro area.
Yep. So that Coach Kraske over at Blackman, really good season. Ended up 6-6, but arguably one of the toughest schedules in the state, and put a scare into quite a few teams that went deep in the playoffs.
And don't forget, they knocked off number 1 seed Green Hill, who was undefeated going into the game. So that was a big win.
Big win for them. Eagle's probably one of our biggest surprises this year. Didn't know what Coach Floyd had. He had lost a lot of offensive players. Probably had one of his best seasons, Rod's going 8-4 and going to the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, as the season went along, their offense just got better and better and better. So good job of coaching their coaches, because they really improved and got to the second round, like you mentioned, in the playoffs. Also during the regular season, they beat their number 1 team who went to the next round. I think they got eliminated the following week, but they went to the next round.
Yep. Middle Tennessee Christian, coming off their championship last year, lost a ton, but they also returned to the playoffs. Ended up losing, of course, to Nashville Christian, but Nashville Christian was state champions.
Yes.
And so I thought he did an excellent job this year with the team he had.
Yes, he did. They got better and better. And if you went out to see them play, they weren't very big. I mean, you're playing a lot of sophomores and some juniors, but it's going to take a while to build them up, physically, for them to grow up, but then also with the work in the weight room and all. But some young people did pretty well. They lost their starting quarterback for a good part of the end of the season, and they had a good response to new players stepping in and performing, and they'll have that experience. Next year should be better for them.
Yeah, I think so too. Their rival right down the street from them, PCA, also 6-5 on the season, went to the playoffs, lost in the first round. Tough game there. Again, another program Coach Ferguson is building, and I think will improve next year.
Yes, this is their 3rd year now in existence. They got a lot of their players back, the top players, so they have a lot of experience. I think the game that really impressed me was their game with Friendship Christian. Went into overtime, back and forth. They finally lost 1 or 2 points. I don't remember that, but to be able to compete with that team who is perennially in the state tournament was an outstanding job. Sometimes they fall off like they did in their first round in the playoffs, but they should be more mature next year. Might see something exciting from them next year.
They'll be looking for a quarterback. The Marks kid was a senior this year. Hopefully he's healing well after that injury he had in that playoff game. Riverdale, of course, finished 10-3, lost to state champions. Again, we talk about a team that's lost to the state champions. Very well could have beat the state champions in probably one of the best games all year long in that 49-46 playoff game. Coach Kreisky has gotten Riverdale right up to that, what we'll call, as Oakland is, program status.
Yes, they're at that status Oakland was when when Creasy first came and they started playing Maryville. Couldn't quite get Maryville. They get beat, and then we got I think beat here. Then finally they were able to beat them at home. Then finally beat them away. So it doesn't happen like that. By snap of your fingers a lot of times. But they're close, and I think they're about ready to take that big step.
Second 10-win season in a row, second time going to the third round of the playoffs. And so, again, Coach Kreisky of both teams, Blackman and Riverdale, both doing super jobs. We mentioned Rockville. Rockville, gosh, man, it felt like every week somebody was going down for Rockville, just running to a struggle offensively. Them and the next team, talking about Siegel, both of those teams finished 2-8, but Siegel's young.
Yeah, Siegel's young, and we look at the last 2 years. Last year they were injury after injury. They lost their quarterback, who was outstanding, and now they're a young team, but they're looking better, more competitive, and should be taking a step forward. Rockville, looking at them, it's going to be kind of a rebuild, new coach. You don't know how much it's going to change their system and all, but you got to start somewhere and to build it back up.
And I can't remember. I was almost thinking Siegel's like single-digit seniors. I don't even think they had double-digit seniors this year. So again, I mean, the hard part is Siegel can be a whole lot better, but in an 8-team region, you still can't make the playoffs.
That's like this year with Blackman. They were better, but you still didn't get there. They made the playoffs in this case, but they didn't go as far as they would hope to have gone.
Right, but if you took this year's group, you'd have had 1 seed Oakland, basically 2 seed Stewart's Creek, 3 seed a 10-2 Riverdale is your 3 seed, and then the 4 seed, it'd be right there, Blackman, most likely that 4 seed Smyrna right there. I mean, it's going to be
right.
It's going to be like the SEC in a sense,
right? And they're going to keep knocking each other off, possibly.
The SEC is expanded. Now you got 16 teams. You've added Texas and Oklahoma. It just means more. It means more, but it also means sometimes you get less.
True.
So I mean, that everybody was fussing about the playoff bracket. We've already talked about college football playoff brackets. You've got Georgia in there, you got Tennessee in there, and of course you've got, from the SEC, you've got Texas. The hard part is, they talk about the 12 teams and who got that 12th seed, which was Clemson. You got the SMU and you got Indiana, but I guarantee you none of these teams in there would want to face an Ole Miss or an Alabama, and the way South Carolina was playing at the end of the year, but they didn't make it.
Well, just think about it, though. I think the thing that's happened with the portal is that it's making the bottom of your league tougher, and especially in the SEC, because every kid, if you can get on a team that's in the SEC, that's saying something. And if you have aspirations for the NFL, that's a better shot to get there, because that's where the majority come from, is the SEC.
Right.
But how many Arkansas, Vanderbilt, how many of these knocked off top teams, but they played tough games. They were tough.
Oh, yeah. Tennessee knows how Arkansas plays. Alabama knows how Vanderbilt played. So even Auburn, as they like to say, they took over the state of Alabama this year, Vanderbilt did. So it just, like I said, for our high school teams, I like it for the travel. I like it for the interest of the game. I'm going to dislike it, Rod, though, at playoff time.
Yeah, because we can only get 4. We had 5 this past year, and we could have had 6 if we had, like say, Smyrna had made it qualify for playoffs, but now the most we can get is 4.
Most we can get 4. So, I mean, used to, no offense to Coffee County, they made it they had a good season this year, but they're not a regular. Usually have 4 Rutherford County teams in that one, and you almost always would not, right now, count on Stewart's Creek and Smyrna. So like you said, you'd have 6, much less the MTCS and PCA. So then you got 8 teams in the area. So it's going to be good games for the fans again. Less travel. You like that. I just don't like that we're going to beat each other up. I guarantee it, our 5 and 6 teams are going to be really good football teams.
Yes, but it will be more money for the programs.
It will,
and especially for those in the western part. You're talking about Laverne, Stewart's Creek, Smyrna, because they've had a lot of games where they had to go into Nashville and didn't get much of a gate. Well, they'll be getting a lot of good gates.
Yep. So that will be a good thing coming up. So we're still waiting on Danny Brewer trying to join us here on the phone. Haven't heard from him. So let's run down those 3 teams. I was waiting on Danny to talk about the Stewart's Creek, Smyrna, and Laverne. Of course, Laverne unfortunately went 0-10 this year. Tough road for them, we knew. Smyrna, not the type of Smyrna Bulldog team that they expected. Ended up the season at 500, lost in the playoffs. They'll be back. But Stewart's Creek, school history.
Yes.
And
it's going to be hard to match it.
It's going to be really hard to match it. I know Coach Caudill losing some quality players, but again, has he gotten them close enough, like a Riverdale, to close to being a program status?
Right. So are those people underneath them moving up, getting older, are they going to be able to step in and just keep on that quality play? And that's something we're going to wait and see.
And that's what you've got to do. You've got to just get over that hump, like you said, Rod. Got to get there and then maintain it. Oakland has done it. Riverdale's doing it. We'll see if Stewart's Creek and Smyrna can also do it. So it'll be fun for all of us again, and I'm sure Brian and John won't mind the less travel for WGNS as well. It is time. I've got to talk about Pigskin Picks. Got to talk about them. And so I was at Riverdale again watching the basketball game, and I saw John Dinkins. I waved. He waved back. I made the trip up to see him. First thing out of his mouth, we didn't have any games during Thanksgiving. How you going to announce a Pigskin Pick winner? No games at Thanksgiving. I'm like, John, it was Thanksgiving. I got Friday after school that next week. I didn't think about nothing except eating, and I did. So he's already filed a complaint on the commissioner. I told him he could be commissioner if he want to be commissioner.
Well, you should have known better than go up there.
Should have known better. Of course, Brian was loving every bit of it. So we pick games all season long. If you don't know, John Dinkins started out hot. He was in the lead the first 5 weeks. He was loving the tee box and loving every minute of it. But Brian Barrett has won again. Again, key word there is again. He keeps I don't know if the trophy's still in his office. He may have taken it home because he's not going to share it anymore, doesn't seem like. So Danny Brewer came in 5th place at a record of 107-42. Rod Edwards was 4th, 109-40. I was 1 game ahead of you, Rod, at 110-39. John Dinkins was 112-37, 6 games behind the repeating champion and CEO of Brian Barrett. So he never had a bad week.
That is consistency.
That's the key. He never had a bad week. I mean, he didn't start out, in first place. He started out, but he was right there behind John all the time. John had a little slip. We had his worst week. We all had a bad week, so it didn't hurt him. And he was consistent. I mean, Danny had a perfect week. You had a perfect week this year. I had an 11-1 week, but Brian was just consistent week after week, even in the playoffs. And I had to take some luck-up shots at the end just trying to see if I could catch him, and I couldn't because, whether you're 2nd or 5th, you still – second place is first loser.
Means nothing.
Means nothing. It's what Ricky Bobby would say. Second place, first loser. So just go for it. So congratulations, Brian Barrett. He even went his only perfect week all year was last week, and we had 2 games. And why did he have a perfect week? Because we were dumb enough to think the Titans were going to beat Jacksonville. We all picked picked the Titans. Brian Barrett, see, look, hats off to Brian Barrett. He goes, no, I'm not going with the Titans. The Titans took me down for years. I'm going with Jacksonville. So his perfect week was 2-0. 2-0 Brian Barrett. So he gets to keep the official trophy again, rub it in with John Dinkins every week. And what's funny is he doesn't even rub it in. Brian never rubs it in. John it eats him alive, which Brian just enjoys. And so Brian will just sit there and just enjoy it. He enjoyed listening to him complain about the commissioner, which is me. He enjoyed he goes, oh, I didn't know I was that far ahead. That's what he told me. I didn't know I was that far ahead.
Oh, boy. Modesty.
Humility. I didn't know.
We had to call John termite. He just keeps eating away.
So that's just the way it runs. So congratulations. We'll move on. All right. We're going to close out this segment. We're going to come back, talk about what's on WGNS. And you got to think about between now and then the commercial break, what's your off-season program? Rod Edwards.
Head over to J. Mullins Jewelry to check out their selection of rings, watches, custom design jewelry, and much more. They're a local business located at 352 West Northville Boulevard right here in Murfreesboro. They have gifts for all occasions, weddings, graduations, anniversaries, whatever you need, you can find it at J. Mullins Jewelry. That's at 352 West Northville Boulevard or online at mullinsjewelry.com.
Middle Tennessee Christian School, training for eternity.
We're going to be an educational institution that teach Bible every day. Every subject we teach, we're going to teach through a biblical perspective. In every aspect of our school, we're going to do it through a Christian perspective.
MTCS President Matt Tiller.
That also means that everything we do, we have to be excellent. We feel like Christ calls us to excellence. And so that means we have to be excellent academically. That means we have to be excellent athletically because that's what God calls us to. It's a great place to be.
Invest in your child's future in an environment that fosters Christ-centered values. To find out more, visit mtcscougars.org.
Every team knows which play can be the winning move. I'm State Farm Agent Ron Reeves, here to help life go right by combining your home and auto insurance. Call me at 615-873-1700. It's a winning move that saves you time and money.
What's your next dream? Paying off your credit card? Remodeling your kitchen? Whatever your dreams, they take some planning. I'm State Farm Agent Emerson Williams. Let's work together to come up with a plan to make those savings goals happen. Call me at 615-459-2683.
At Middle Tennessee Electric, we see the lines that link us all, illuminating our neighborhoods, empowering our businesses, and helping us to recharge. Because we believe in the power of good energy. Whether it comes from our grids, the sun, or a kind heart. And as your family and our region continue to grow, you can trust that we'll always be there for you. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
We're at Rick's Barbecue on Warrior Drive, where, of course, they've got barbecue and smoked chicken, ribs, but they have other favorites.
Our chicken tenders are delicious. We bread them here ourselves. We have so many different kinds of sides, and our nachos are really good and popular. I love the menu. I could literally eat here every day.
Anne Marie Brent's at Rick's Barbecue.
We're thankful for the customers. We have a lot of regulars, loyal customers that come in, and when they come in, I already know their order.
Bet you're hungry now. We'll see you at Rick's Barbecue, 212 Warrior Drive.
Primetime Sports presented by Ideas Tees on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and streaming at wgnssports.com.
Primetime Sports is wrapping up for the season, but Brian Barrett, John Dinkins, they never stop. They never stop. High school basketball tomorrow night. Stewart's Creek is playing Gallatin. Coach's Corner on Saturday. They'll be talking basketball. MTSU basketball is all over WGNS. The women again play Kansas State. That's 4:30 on Saturday. The men, Cal Baptist on Monday at 6 o'clock. The Middle Tennessee women play Cal Baptist on Tuesday, and the men back against Lipscomb next Thursday. So you can always see what's going on. If you're listening to sports, go to www.wgnsradio.com. Click on what's live. You can click on what's happening. There's different places you can find out all. If you like WGNS all day long, or if you like sports, always stuff going on. All right, Rod, off-season conditioning program you've been thinking about. I'll go first. We're on TV now, If TV gives me 5-10 pounds, I got to lose some weight. There's my off season.
Oh no!
Got to lose some weight because I'm looking bad on the screen, looking a little bit round. I do not have a face for radio, so they're putting me on. So I've got to. I'm gonna start working out. That's my thing. I'm gonna try to look good, and I'm gonna work on my picks.
Okay, you're gonna miss Christmas then, eating?
I didn't say that. it's New Year's, not Christmas.
Oh, New Year. Okay.
New Year's resolutions.
What am I gonna do? Well, if I catch a warm day, I'm gonna ride the bike.
I'm gonna ride the bike.
Probably take it over to Greenway. It's a nice, safe place to ride. Get the dumbbells out. Me and the dumbbells, we kind of go hand in hand and talk to each other.
Yeah, that's me. Me and the dumbbells. That sounds like a good plan. Well, it's been a great year, Rod. Thank you for all your help. Danny, sorry I didn't get to talk to you tonight. I'll talk to you soon as well. For all of us in Primetime Sports, it'll be August before you know it, and we'll be right back at you. Y'all have a great holiday.